Welcome back, wonderful people. It is time to preview day 10 of Wimbledon for the Chris McPherson Show Daily Dose. And we are pumped to be back for another day talking tennis. Day 9 is in the bank, and it was certainly a reasonably predictable one, which has been an uncertain and unusual experience at this edition of Wimbledon. Taylor Fritz, Amanda Anisimova, Aryna Sabalenka, and Carlos Alcaraz all going through a few little bumps for a couple of them. Karen Hatchinoff created a bit of drama for Fritz, but nothing too much. He got through in 4 sets. So it was certainly wonderful to see that a little bit more, I guess, consistency and expected results for the senior draws as we look at those. In terms of the tennis happening as well, we've got lots of juniors with Aussie Watch happening. We've talked about our girls playing tonight and built up to that. We obviously had Cruz Hewitt playing in the singles. He went down, unfortunately, pretty convincingly to the Finn in Oskari Paldanius, and it was 6-3, 6-love. So that will be the end of his tournament. But we certainly, as I said, have a couple of the girls in action. Talia Kakinis is in action tonight. She will take on Minji Zhu, the great British hope. So that'll be an interesting one at 9-10. 2 unseeded players fighting out to go through to the quarterfinals. Really looking forward to seeing how that goes. Zhu was in the main draw as a wild card in Wimbledon and did bow out in the first round to fellow countrywoman Emma Raducanu, but put up a decent fight there. So I think she'll go in as favourite against Kakinis. She is certainly rising through those junior rankings, and she's actually still alive. She's just not been knocked out of the women's doubles in the second round, where she played alongside fellow Brit Ella McDonald, but got through the first round there in the seniors, and now in action in the juniors, knocking out 12th seed Alina Kovalkova, the Czech 12th seed in the last round, 1 and 2 quite convincingly. So Zhu will head into that one as favourites, but he is hoping for a nice upset for Kokinis there. That'd be great to see her through to the quarterfinals. And of course, we'd love to see her joined by the number 1 seed, Emerson Jones. She comes up against Eugenia Menendez, the Spaniard. Now, Jones has come through pretty convincingly. She beat Pastikova, the Czech, in the first round, 2 and 3. And then she beat, in the second round, it was Joanna Konstantinova, 2 and 1. So continuing to build. Hoping that she can get through to the quarterfinals. Should be a pretty short price favourite, you'd expect, in terms of if you're looking at the odds and the likelihoods of it. So hopefully we can have Emerson Jones. I think she'll get through in 2 or 3 sets. Probably straight sets. She should get it done there. Her class having played on the senior tour as well. She has been the number 1 junior for a little bit of time now, since September 2024. So certainly looking for her to continue to drive on. The highest ranked Aussie female junior since Jelena Dokic, and at 17 years of age, we talked about the other day, she turned 17 a couple of days ago. She should be a great chance to peak here and maybe even take a title. We'll wait and see how that shapes up. But all the best to Emerson and to Talia. Unfortunately, as I said, Cruz bowing out. We move on to the senior draw, though, and there's plenty happening there. We are into the second day of quarterfinals. And we're going to start with the men's quarterfinals, and we've got Flavio Cobolli, the 22nd seed, coming up against Novak Djokovic. Cobolli arm wrestled his way past Marin Cilic in the round of 16. He blew Jakub Mensik off the court. He blew British hope Jack Pennington-Jones away in the second round as well in straight sets, and a straight set win in the first round as well. So only the 1 set drop to get this far, but as we know, former world number 1, 25-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic is a very different beast. We saw he wasn't playing his best against Alex de Minaur, but after a sluggish start, got through despite being unable to match de Minaur in some of the longer rallies, which was interesting. He did get through in 4 sets. He'd been pretty clinical in the second and third round, just dropping 12 games between his wins against Miomir Kekmanovic, also from Serbia, and Dan Evans, the British hope. He had a little bobble against Muller in the first round, the Frenchman, Alexandre Muller, getting through in 4 sets. But again, I don't think he's really gotten to top gear yet. He may need that against Cobolli. His athleticism and growth on the grass courts has continued to show. So we're looking for Djokovic to, I said before, 25 Grand Slams, 24 Grand Slams, of course, looking to go for his 25th. Looking for Djokovic to go through here. I think this one could go the distance. I'm going to say a 4-setter for Novak Djokovic. Just again, his power, his composure. As I said, what he did against Alex de Minaur when he was far from his best, he was still having trouble. De Minaur was controlling the ball in the wind. De Minaur's serve was a little off, which allowed Djokovic to stay in it. But I just think that the Novak, he is, in that argument for the GOAT. Many will say because he's won the most Grand Slam titles, that automatically makes him the GOAT. But he is right there as one of the greatest players to play this game. And I think we will see him pushing through to the semi-finals, where he will take on the winner of the clash in the quarterfinals between the number 1 and the number 10 seed. Such is Djokovic standing. He will be on centre court tonight. Yannick Sinner will not. He'll be the second matchup on court 1, where he will take on Ben Shelton, the 10th seeded American. Shelton getting past Lorenzo Sonego, another one of the Italians, to bow out. Now, lots of reasons for us Aussies to be anti-Shelton after he knocked out Alex Bolt and Ricky Hijikata in the first 2 rounds in straight sets. He got past Martin Fucsovics in straight sets as well. Dropped a set against Sonego, but then closed out with the 3 closing sets, 2, 3, and 4. To get that one done, he hasn't really been tested. This guy, Ben Shelton, is, if not the best, he is close to the best athlete on tour. He is an absolute freak. There were some shots in this match against Sonego that I don't think any other player, even Carlos Alcaraz, could be able to get delivered and return and hit winners. He is a phenomenal freak in terms of, and I mean that with absolutely utmost respect. He is just next level for his athleticism and his ability to maneuver around the court and use the court to his advantage. He is going to have to rely on all of that. We saw Sinner not quite at 100%. We are, looking around about his, elbow injury and what that means. But as it stands at the moment, he's been, doing indoors practice. He hasn't really shared a lot in regards to it. He did have a cancelled public practice session. The MRI results were still pending a few hours ago. But they're staying optimistic. And to be fair, unless he absolutely cannot use his arm at all, I would suggest that he would go out there and try and fight as he did against Dimitrov. Sinner, as I said, he had a private hit on 30 minutes just to feel out the ball. And, Darren Cahill was saying that he believes he's going to be okay and he'll get the green light to take on Ben Shelton. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting one. It was obviously a match full of emotion, that round of 16 match against Dimitrov. It looked like Sinner was on the ropes and going to be knocked out. And not since Mark Philippoussis took the first set off Pete Sampras so many years ago at Wimbledon. And then I believe it was his knee or his ankle he did from memory, is up by a set and looking really strong. Have we seen such a deep in a Grand Slam? Contentious isn't quite the word I'm looking for, but, maybe, a withdrawal of such magnitude at that point of the match. And look, it's fallen in Sinner's favour. I expect him to take full advantage. I think even if he's at 80% or above, he's going to have enough to get past. It's just about how his arm goes holding up if they do need to go deep into this one. Shelton, as we said, he's got the ability to go deep if he needs to. Hasn't had to really dig into that locker this time around, but he just seems to back himself in these 5-set matches. He's a player that just stars so much more strongly at Grand Slams. We've seen that over recent years as he's made his emergence onto the tour. And it's quite easy to forget this guy's just 22 years of age. He is, really quite young. Sinner himself, 23. These are some of the rising stars, the rising young stars of world tennis, and they're going head-to-head here. And we may well see one of these guys go on to play Carlos Alcaraz in the finals. So this is a guy that's been to the semi-finals of the Australian Open earlier this year. He's been to the semi-finals of the US Open. The hard court's definitely his best surface, but I feel he's starting to get better here. He made the 4th round last time. Quarterfinals now. Can he go to the semi-finals? Look, it's possible. As I said, if Sinner's not 80% fit, he's going to have his work cut out against Shelton. But I'm relying on Sinner. Touch wood that he is fit, and there's a little bit of ducks and drakes going on here. The elbow injury will be an issue, but I'd say he might get that numbed up a little, but enough to still be able to control things. And I think Sinner should get this one done in 4 sets. He'll be looking to try and blow him off the court and get it done as quickly as he can, though, because he knows with that arm that everything's going to need to fall in his favour. If we get any update or any sign early on that, there's anything less than that, then all of a sudden things are going to flip into Shelton's favour. But we will wait and see how that one shapes. But I'm going Sinner at this point. I just can't go past his class, his ability. He's also a little bit fresher than a lot of these players. That 3-month suspension might fall in his favour in terms of how fresh he is and ready to go. Let's head to the women's now, and let's go back to stay on court 1. Iga Swiatek taking on Ludmila Samsonova. The 8th seed takes on the 19th seed. It still seems phenomenal to think that Iga Swiatek is the 8th seed in a Grand Slam after how long she dominated and sat at number 1 in the rankings. A phenomenal tennis player. She looks like she's continuing to build and develop her grass court game, that is for certain, and is really marching through here. She's been really strong, just dropped the one set, put on a clinic against Clara Towson in the round of 16, and now we're watching her march on. This is someone who's already won 22 WTA Tours matches at the age of just 24. There's a huge record when you look at it. She's spent, a couple of years at number one already. She's won 5 Grand Slams. This is her best result at Wimbledon. She's got to the quarterfinals in 2023. I think she'll go one better here. Samsonova, look, I don't want to underrate her, but she's one of those players who hasn't made a lot of runs at Slam. She's consistent on the tour, but hasn't been a proven Grand Slam performer, that is for certain. She even talked in one of her press conferences the other day that, she doesn't have to worry too much about social media because not many people knows who she is. She's not a recognizable name or face for a lot of people, despite the fact that she's, inside the top 20 in the world rankings. She's got through to the Wimbledon quarterfinal. She's never been to a quarterfinal before, despite being so highly ranked. She got to the 4th round at the French Open. She's been in the 4th round previously here at Wimbledon in 2021, the US Open a couple of times as well. Hasn't had great Australian Opens. The natural surfaces do probably suit her a little bit better, and we're starting to see that emerge in recent times, and she's starting to continue to come into her own. But again, she's only got a 63% win record on grass. That's not huge. It's going to mean she's got to work cut out. Neither of these guys have their best records on grass thus far, but I think Swiatek's just getting to terms with how to utilize her top spin on the natural surface here. And we're seeing more and more of the clay quarters go really well at this Wimbledon as the grass is playing a little bit more to suit that spin and movement and power. And so for that, I actually think Swiatek's going to get this done in straight sets, despite the fact that Samsonova's been on a march. Again, she's another one. She's knocked out 2 Aussies. She took Maya Joint down, the rising Aussie star who's into the top 50, 3-2 in the first round. She got to the 3rd round. She knocked out our newest Aussie, Dasha Kasatkina, or Daria, if you will, 2-3. She had a win as well over Ukraine's Yulia Starodubtseva in the 2nd round, and then took down Jessica Bulzas-Monero in the round of 16 in straight sets. But I'm going to Swiatek here, straight sets. Samsonova will go deep with her. We might see something like maybe 6-4, 4-6, something like that for Swiatek here, and hoping for her that she will march on to her best ever result on the grass. It's an interesting matchup, but Swiatek does hold the head-to-head 4-0. Never lost to Samsonova, and I don't expect that to start now. The final quarterfinal for today's action sees young star Mira Andreeva, and I tipped her alongside Amanda Anisimova, who made it through the semi-finals yesterday, to go deep into this tournament, and I'm still backing that. She comes up against Belinda Bencic, who have been guilty of underrating in the lead-up. Bencic, she got through quite convincingly against Alicia Parks of America in the 1st round. She dropped the set against Elsa Giacomot in the 2nd round. Took it to 3 again against Cocciaretto, Elisabetta Cocciaretto of Italy in the 3rd round, getting home in a match tiebreak. And then in her round of 16 match, she came up against Alexandrova. And I thought Ekaterina Alexandrova would have her measure, but Bencic just arm wrestled her out of it, despite having to work harder on her first serve. She really got behind that second serve and was consistent on taking break points. Alexandrova had 11 break points to 6 for Bencic, but Bencic won 4. Alexandrova just won 3, and that's the big opportunity that she took. She's gritty. She'll be right in this. But I think Mira Andreeva and her power and her ability to mix it up is going to absolutely take it to Bencic. Andreeva has been clinical through this. She hasn't dropped a set yet. The closest anyone's got to her is Bronzetti in the 2nd round, taking her to a tiebreak in the 2nd set. But she's won 3-3, 1-3, 2-3, 1-6 across her 4 matches. It's been clinical. This is a youngster who is ranked, been as high as number 6. I think she'll move up to number 5, potentially number 4, depending how deep she goes here in the rankings. She is surging up the rankings. She's going to be a name to watch. She's going to be one to challenge the likes of Aryna Sabalenka once she fills out her game and continues to develop it. I think Andreeva gets through here. Bencic may be able to take a set off her. I'm going to go Andreeva to win this one in 3 sets as these two go head-to-head. It's going to be certainly an interesting matchup. It'll be the first time they come together, but I think Mira Andreeva will just have the edge over Bencic. Bencic has spent 8 and a bit hours on court. Andreeva just over 5 hours. Huge difference in impact. Again, Bencic a lot more workload to get to where she has. And so I'm going with Andreeva, fresher, younger, and more powerful to win this one in 3 and open up centre court tonight on day 10 at Wimbledon. We're really looking forward to another great day. Plenty of tennis to pick apart. We'll be back tomorrow with more tennis and more coming for our weekly episode tomorrow night at 6 p.m. as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But until then, enjoy your sporting landscape. We look forward to talking to you tomorrow.